You're listening to Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. Comics, television, movies, and more. If it impacts fan culture, we have something to say about it. And now, your hosts, Jordan, Cliff, and Seth.
Hello, everybody out there, and welcome back to another episode of Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. My name is Jordan Lowe.
I'm Cliff Barnes.
I'm Seth.
Fun stuff.
Yeah, it's the start of year number 3. This will be the first episode of continuing on. Further adventures.
We're not falling down all the time. We've got our feet under us. We're
pros now. We know how to do everything.
Learn to brush our teeth.
We can work 2 computers at once.
It's like people record a whole episode with their mic backwards. That was like 2-year-old stuff.
We are so far beyond
weeks
that.
ago.
We don't try and do episodes with cords that have shorts in them.
Right. No audio glitches.
Nothing.
No mistakes.
Yep. That's
Totally
the title.
Professional.
New title.
No mistakes.
No mistakes. What are we doing now? We're doing one of our special segments here to learn about us.
All our segments are special.
Us. You down with KPP?
Yeah, you know me.
What the hell is wrong with you people? You know me.
What's wrong with you? What is wrong with you?
You know me.
I hate so much about the things that you choose to be.
You know me. You don't know how it feels to be me. If you don't know me by now.
Why are you the way that you are?
And we promise in year 3, every bumper will be longer than the one before.
Yes.
We're 4 now.
Yeah. At one point, it's nothing but bumpers. It's the whole show. We don't even talk about it.
A bumper bracket.
Bumper bracket.
You know who's going to win. Sexy James Olsen. So what's the subject there, Clay?
James.
There it is.
I read books and work out. James.
I don't think enough about Sexy James Olsen when I'm watching that show. Like, he's just another character. It used to be like every time he was on screen, it was like, oh, there's James Olsen.
James.
Yeah, I missed that.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
All right, so this segment is supposed to be, yeah, you know me.
Well,
This
we're
is
3.
where-
We lose our attention span. I don't remember, Dad. What the hell are we supposed to be talking about?
This is where I've created several just getting to know you questions, put them on little scraps of paper, jumbled them up into a hat, and each week we pick one. And tonight, Cliff was the picker.
I was the picker.
Terrible nickname.
Question. Every time we pick one, do you add one to the pile?
No,
Or
I'm running out of them quickly.
Okay.
So if you out there have a question,
Yes.
let us know. If there's something you would like to hear about, we normally talk about something from our childhood or something pop culture related. As in, what do we got this week?
Your worst job.
Oh my gosh. Your one
Worst job. So we weren't always professional podcasters. We all used to have day jobs.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Back before we started raking it in.
Yep. Making that podcast money.
And I assume we all had jobs we didn't like very much.
Yeah. What came to mind for me, or comes to mind for me, immediately?
And I would, knowing all the questions, I would maybe suggest don't tell everyone your first job, because that might also be in the pile.
Okay.
Great.
So if your
I've already
first,
talked-
unless your first job is your worst job, then
Yeah,
go.
what I've already talked about Pizza Hut, which was my first job and not a great job. So I can't. So now I know I'm not going to be able to use that this time or next time.
I feel like we've hit peak Pizza Hut.
Exactly. I'm Pizza Hut.
I want to know every detail about that. Shinobi.
I told you about Shinobi,
How many
the
Shinobi?
jukebox,
Jukebox
kegs, jukebox Bissling, all that.
There a few years back, I was already working 2 jobs, pretty much full time. And I got the bright idea that I should get another job.
Right.
So I went to work very briefly for one of these pop-up Halloween stores you see every year.
I like this already.
I don't think I knew this.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just I don't know.
Seasonal?
Yeah, it was very, well, yes. Imagine that. It was seasonal.
It was horrible. It was like the middle of April. No one was coming in. It was worse.
It was actually one of these things I thought, hey, that would be really fun.
Right.
You know? Like,
yeah, sounds fun.
If they'll work around my other two jobs. And oh, by the way, I'm getting ready to go on vacation for a week, and we're going to Disney World right around this time, too. If you'll not mind working through all that, I'm all in. And they were like, yeah, sure. Which should have been my first clue, right?
Right.
So, the whole thing about it was the store manager was a very nice person, a very nice lady. But she also had a full-time job. So she wasn't really there much. And if you can imagine the eclectic group of people you would get to work this seasonal, you just need to pass a drug test, more or less.
Forget Superstore. I want a show of seasonal store.
Yeah. So we did, we started from scratch. It was in this dumpy building, and that I really questioned if it should be open to the public. But anyways, so we had to set the store up, and you get all the shipments and stuff, and you have to build everything up and make all the displays and do all that stuff, which I worked retail for a long time. I was like, cool, this will be easy. They don't really give you any guidance, and there's not a lot of leadership there. So you just kind of have to figure it out. And
frankly, I'm shocked.
Yeah, right. And there's always, like 30 people working there who are all doing different, have their own agendas, and most of them never showed up more than like 2 days in a row or ever again. So it was just constant turnover of these weirdo people I'm working with. And I'm just like, I'm just here for some extra cash. But it turned out some days I would just show up and just kind of wander around, and like nobody really questioned it. Like I'm just I guess I'll do whatever I want today. And as long as I didn't have to stand up front and like be the cashier, I was pretty happy for the most part.
So did you last the full season it was there?
Well, not really. Like I worked quite a few more hours than I should have been working. I committed too hard to it. And then like you would go in and they had like the try-on booths that were really shoddy, which was always kind of awkward because you get women and kids and stuff, and it's more or less just a curtain. So I made sure, like I'm facing forward at all times. Like I don't want to be accused of anything. Nothing. I just eyes forward, just kind of learn to hand over without ever turning my head. Like, oh, here's the next costume for you to try, that type of thing. And you get some weirdo customers too. Like Halloween brings out the best of the best anyways, right? It was just overall, I ended up working till we went to Disney World. I think I worked up until the week of Halloween, and I think I just quit going in after that because I was just like, I am over this crap.
They probably weren't open a lot past Halloween.
Actually, I think, they do this. They do like
Big
a reduce thing,
yeah,
and then mark everything down and try and sell it off, and then they have to tear the store down. I was like, I'm done.
Yeah, that sounds pretty great.
It really wasn't.
Well, okay. I'll talk about. So I didn't really work there. I was with a friend, and he was trying to get me on at this. I'm not even sure. It was a 1-day thing. He worked for some inspector of some kind of going to a job site, and they would have to. These construction people would be like packing down the soil, and then he had some sort of measurement device to approve how solid the ground was.
Yeah, compaction test.
Okay, right. And so we're like in high school doing this. We're going there to the site and telling these grown people whether the ground is good enough for this.
And have been in construction for like 30 or 40 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I was just there, like, and he, for some reason, he wasn't there at some point, and I am the person that's going to tell them. I have no idea how this stuff works. And he showed me one time, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, nope, no, you're going to have to do it again. So they're running their stuff across and like packing stuff down further. And I was totally lying. I had no idea. I just thought that I would err on the side of caution. and then eventually I just approved them. And I was like, I'm never coming back to this because I'm pretty sure I just killed a lot of people in the future. So that was probably the scariest, weirdest, baddest job I ever had.
That's pretty odd. I know about compaction tests because my wife worked in construction.
Okay, well.
And she tells the story of the worst one that ever happened.
I've heard some, yes.
The equipment was swallowed up by the earth.
It was in Pisa.
Sorry. We can't
It's a Leaning Tower joke.
We can't get our building approved for to get open to the public.
Yeah, call that place that has the high school kids.
Yeah.
They'll let us do it.
Yeah.
Guys, you'll never believe it. This one time I opened a comic book store.
Right?
What an idea that was. Come on. No, I had one firmly in mind, and as you guys were talking, I thought of my worst job.
Oh.
I must have like completely blocked it out of my memory. I forgot I was even this. I worked at, my first job was fast food. I was a janitor for a summer at an elementary school where they do like
Jeff Keys?
Where they wash all the windows,
you were not a janitor.
wax all the floors, paint new. Like
he got up in the lift.
Do the fence.
I did. I got up in the lift. I was the only one who'd get up in the lift to get the tall windows. Did I tell that story before?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Boring.
Lame.
I worked at Hills when they switched over to
Ames.
Mm-hmm. And then when it was Ames, and I was so good at my job, they promoted me to morning truck unloader guy.
Oh boy!
So I had to be there at 5 a.m.
Mm-hmm. Been there
to unload the trucks.
Yikes.
And see, these are not my worst jobs. I'm going in.
Oh my gosh!
My jobs are getting better as I'm talking.
I actually just thought of. Anyway,
the ass is about to fall out of it.
The moment has passed. Keep going.
When I lived in Columbus, I worked at a bookstore, and I really liked it. I worked there for about a year, and enjoyed it. It was a very nice bookstore. I liked all my coworkers. So when I moved back here, they were hiring at the mall bookstore, which is no longer in service. So I'm going to say the name, Walden Books. I thought, hey, I liked my experience working at a bookstore. I can work at Walden Books. Got a job. Didn't last a month. It was horrible.
Mm-hmm.
It was terrible. I'm not even sure why the experience was so much different, but part of it was the inventory system. The extra books were just kept on a shelf up above.
Right.
In no order whatsoever. So the computer would say, you have one copy of Tom Sawyer.
Good luck finding it.
Well, it's not on the shelf. It's probably up in that pile somewhere. When they did reserves, hey, I'm calling in. I'm coming to the mall today. Can you have this book? Can you hold it for me? Sure. We labeled it in no way. We put it behind the counter in a stack. It had no names on it, no phone numbers, no nothing. So it was horrible. I left that job to become a substitute teacher, which was a step up, if you can believe that. And
we're still not to the worst job.
No, because that was going to be my worst job, but then I remembered the other job.
Oh my god!
And I left. That was the summer. Do you remember the girl from West Virginia? She came back from the Middle East. Jessica Lynch.
Yeah.
Was that her name? She was doing a book tour, and her hometown book. This was her hometown bookstore, and there was a huge event. She was doing a signing, and I quit like 2 weeks before that. Because I could not take this job anymore.
Right.
And she was like, can you at least stay through the Jessica Lynch signing? I was like, no, I have to be in Athens. Because I told her I had to quit because I got my dream of teaching position, which was just I got on the substitute list.
Yeah.
I could be called sometime in the future to be a substitute. And I was like, I've been wanting. I did not want to be.
You couldn't just tell the truth.
No. This is a horrible place where I want to burn it down
again in your life.
So I said, yeah, I have to do this teaching thing. And she's like, can you at least stay through that? I was like, I can't. She's like, but it's on a Saturday. I said, oh, there's a orientation in Athens I have to be at. I just lied. It was the best lie I've ever told.
There's kids in detention that day.
Yeah, so That was horrifying. And then they would also section you. They did the calendar kiosk 2/3 of the way down the mall away from
in the
store.
middle. Mm-hmm.
So one day a week, your job would be to stand at the kiosk. You got a 15-minute break and a half-hour lunch and no chair. It was bad. You could not sit in a chair because that didn't look professional.
I won't buy a calendar from somebody just lounging around.
But the funny thing was, I worked there in October. Do you know how
So
many?
a lot
do you
of
know how many
calendars.
calendars get sold in October? Not many.
Okay.
I was like, it was like The Shining. I was losing my
That's
mind.
more of a costume time of year.
Everyone was at Cliff's.
Yeah, you should have came and worked at the Halloween place.
So yeah, that was my worst job until I remembered the PTSD I had repressed. Guys, I sold sweepers door to door.
Oh my God!
Wow.
For about 2 weeks.
You were one of those guys?
A Hoover guy?
Different brand.
Did you give away a
Sam.
free gift to like try and get in the house? Like, oh, if you let me show you this,
would
I'll give
shampoo
you.
the carpet.
Can you see him sticking his foot in there?
Oh yeah.
I responded to an ad in the paper, classified, job interviews, Lafayette Hotel.
That's how they do it.
No,
This much money an hour.
bring
show
bring
up.
bring a resume. I show up.
Always sweepers.
Do the interview. I get a call back. Cool. I don't know what it is, but I got a call back.
Mm-hmm.
There's about 15 people in the room on the second one. It's about a half hour. They still have not said what the job is.
Yeah, that should have been your clue right there.
It was my senior. I had just graduated senior year,
Mm-hmm.
so it was between. The school hadn't ended yet, so it was between senior year and college, and I needed a summer job desperately. So I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, I didn't know how scammy. It didn't feel right, but I didn't know how scam it was. And then when they announced it, it's like, hey, we're selling this brand sweeper. Dude stood up, walked straight out. I was like, what's that guy's problem? He's missing out on all the great perks we're going to get.
Have you heard about our Lord and Savior Dyson?
So you got hooked up with a sample sweeper, and you had to go do like 5 demonstrations before you were allowed out on the thing. So went to a neighbor's house, did one for a relative, did it for the parents of the girl I was dating at the time, and you had to do it just like a real thing. Like when you got to their house, you called the manager.
I bet that girl's parents were like, boy, this kid's going somewhere.
Yeah, The relationship didn't last much past that.
Why do you ask to borrow our copy of Stargate?
So I get to the girlfriend's house. I was like, hey, I'm going to show you this sweeper. They're taking pity on me, letting me do this. So I have to call the manager. So you're not murdered or lost. Like, hey, I'm at this house. I'm about to do the thing. Okay, good job. Good luck. Hang up. Oh, here's the thing. It does this much sweeping. Cool, thanks. Okay, you guys go have fun. So I call afterwards. Hey, okay, finish my demonstration. Okay, are they interested? Oh, no, they were never interested. It's like, well, did you tell them this? Did you tell him this? Like, he was getting pushy about it. And he said, all right, well, tell him, you hope they can survive all the dirt that's going to be left on their floors once you leave.
And then dump it out on their dinner table.
and I hung up, and her dad said, he's like, I knew something he said to you, because he saw my face just go white. He's like, yeah, he told me he hopes you enjoy all the filth you're living in. And he's like, well, if I didn't know you, I would be throwing you out my door right now. So I'm like, I don't think this is for me. I don't think I can handle this. I'm not built for this whatsoever.
Wow.
I quit very shortly after that.
Jordan wins.
Yeah, you win.
You win the week.
That's pretty
Great
awful.
job.
I just killed a building full of people. You. Wow.
Where do we go from there?
I did, yeah.
Wait.
He said,
more.
if you sell any sweepers the week you're doing your training,
Right, that's the trick.
you get a discount. They'll sell them at a cheaper discount.
Ah.
So my mom, saint that she is, said, I've always kind of, I've always kind of wanted one of those sweepers. They look really nice, and you're selling it so well. So I said, well, they're giving me a discount. So if you buy it at a discount plus my commission, we're getting a heck of a bargain.
Yeah, we can turn around and sell this.
So I went into the guy's office, and he's like, I was like, I need to talk to you. He's like, okay, what? I was like, I sold a sweeper. He's like, oh, congratulations. I was like, and I need to quit. So I quit in the same day. So I kept my demonstration sweeper, and he said, I said, well, she said the discounts what won her. It's like, oh, you told her? He wanted me to lie to my mother that the sweepers were on sale.
If you won't lie to your mother, then you were cut out for this business. You'll lie to the lady at the bookstore.
Right, yes. Oh, she can be lied to.
You got to see your mom again. You don't want to go visit in that filth.
I had repressed all that. Wow. I didn't like reliving it.
Now I got to repress it.
I'm really surprised you didn't open up a calendar / sweeper store.
Oh, yeah.
That would have been awesome.
Well, you can't sit down anyway.
That's why I got the nicest, comfiest chair I could find.
Oh,
I'm going to stay in that chair as long as I can.
That's right. Hell with doing inventory. Okay, all right. So
Moving on.
What is this podcast about?
Streaming.
Streaming.
There's something very important I forgot to tell you.
What?
Don't cross the streams.
Islands in the stream, that is what we are.
Across the streams.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, it's a great show back on Netflix
Oh.
where men can be men. It's called Queer Eye. Season 3.
Oh, they've been around as long as us.
Yeah. Did you? Yeah, really did you ever watch any of those, Cliff?
Indeed.
You did.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
My wife and daughter are big fans.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I am too. I like them. Yeah, I came back on a week or two ago, and I had told you guys before I watched the first season, and then the second. See, I guess there was a second season.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I like it. I swear, I like it. It's, the original was, probably 15, 20 years ago, where they come in. Originally, it was just they came in.
It was
find a straight guy,
mm-hmm.
and they, fix his life. You know, fix his fashion, his food, his where he lives, and all that stuff. And now they have this new cast of guys, and they do the same thing, but they don't just strictly do it for straight men. It's for anybody, women, men, straight, gay, whatever. Anyway, they're very likable, and they create relationships with these people, and you really, I really get into it.
They're funny guys.
Oh yeah, they're all so likable. For the most part, they're very likable people, and I just enjoy. It's just a great, fun-loving, good-feeling series. I really enjoy it. So if you're looking for some joy, it's. But first off, hold
it and thank it.
I am a sucker for. I am a sucker for any kind of oh, we're gonna take this house and fix it, makeover show type thing. We're gonna take this garbage place you live in and fix it up.
Run the sweeper on it.
Right. I'm gonna sweep it.
Get rid of the filth.
I'm gonna hang a new calendar. Here's your costume. I'm out of here.
Hope it doesn't collapse into the dirt.
Right, exactly. Right. We can cover all angles. But they do a lot of that in this show. So it's always nice to see the people's faces when they come home and in their new outfit and their new haircut. And plus, like I said, all the guys are likable, and it's just a good time show. I also watched what was probably the final season on Amazon Prime of Catastrophe.
I have my AA meeting tonight.
Again?
Well, you don't really graduate from alcoholism.
So I'm supposed to watch Game of Thrones on my own, like a pervert. Have you thought about a bit of therapy?
I'm going to AA, I'm working in a charity shop, plus my real job, and I'm doing the best I can.
Those are for Frankie's lunch.
Really? Did he pay for him? Or did I? We've been invited to a dinner with the big Brabant boss and his wife.
Oh, God, really? Should I be chatty like Michelle Obama, or should I be more like Jackie Kennedy? Don't say much, but when I do say something, really make it count. Slag off the Queen.
Did you ever watch that? Rob Delaney? Who's he has an online presence. I believe he's a comedian also, but it's just a good show on Prime. This past season was probably the weakest season, but I would still recommend the show Catastrophe if you're looking for something. If you have Prime, it's very enjoyable.
do things come and go from Prime like they do from Netflix, or does it just keep adding and adding?
No,
and adding?
yes, it does come and go, but not this.
Not
is
the original.
This is an original, so they're always there.
Yeah,
just like any Netflix original is always there, and this stuff's always there. So, I also am watching. I think this is a 4-episode series. I may be wrong. On HBO, The Case Against Adnan Syed.
Yeah,
it's the serial podcast, most famous podcast ever, was based on. It's kind of covering that with video now. It's fine. Serial was great. That first season of Serial. Did you ever listen to that, Jordan?
No.
Just really great, but you don't like true crime. Anyway, it's just HBO's format on it, and it's good. If you had to listen to the podcast, it's definitely worth saying that. What are you guys watching on streaming?
A couple things on Hulu. First, I watched a new series called Shrill.
Eddie Bryant.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like her.
I have not watched it.
Okay.
I do like her, though. Yes.
First season is 6 episodes, and it ends kind of weird. Like I had to look it up. Like I watched the first 6, and I thought, oh, is this one of those deals where? Because I knew it'd come out recently, but I didn't know how recently. So I was like, oh, in a couple weeks are they going to drop more episodes or whatever? But anyways, no, it's just 6 episodes. It ends kind of weirdly, but I enjoyed it. It reminded me a little bit of Girls.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah, kind of a cross between Girls and I don't know, something almost like I was talking about Working Moms.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of between Working Moms and Girls in a lot of ways. But it's Addie Bryant. She's an aspiring journalist trying to juggle her boyfriend, if you want to call him that. Her mom, who is her whole life been kind of she's a very nice lady. She's played by she was from Saturday Night Live. I can't think of her name.
Molly Shannon?
Nope.
I'm guessing Saturday Night Live.
Older.
Older than Molly Shannon. This is a fun game.
Yeah, this is good podcasting. She played Pat.
Oh, I don't know her name, but I know who you're talking about.
Oh gosh. Anyways, but her mom is the very nice lady. Daniel Stern plays her dad, but her mom has
Daniel Stern. I haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah, her mom she's always played the concerned mom who
Julia Sweeney.
There it is.
I knew that.
Who, as a overweight child growing up, was always kind of trying to control what she ate and kind of giving her those backhanded comments a little bit and trying to push her towards a more healthy, quote unquote, lifestyle.
Well, that's the praise I saw for it. It's about a plus size woman.
Yes.
Like getting your life together, but it's not about losing weight and what she looks like. It's about her other qualities.
Yeah, this is based on Lindy West's memoir. She was an author that became famous for writing these articles. She was very bold in them. So it's based off of that. Season 1 covers enough time to break through the self-doubt that's been more or less holding her back her whole life. So she's working to get past that and be more confident and become this great writer and write about the stuff that as she, from her perspective. So she writes a couple articles, becomes big. She has a jackass of a boss who treats her horribly, as well as most of the employees. But she has this relationship with this on and off boyfriend that becomes more serious throughout season 1. He's really good. It was a fresh take for the most part. I thought it could have been a little better. But from there, I kept on Hulu and I went to this. Have you heard of Pen 15?
I saw some people on Facebook talking about it.
Yeah, this was kind of similar because I really like Shrill and I was kind of on that roll and I was like, well, I was kind of looking for something similar.
I need more Working Moms.
Yeah, exactly. This is kind of weird and maybe not for me, but series depicts 2 middle school students very realistically in around 2000. They're 13-year-olds going into 7th grade. A whole new world if you remember that time of your life. But the 2 stars are grown women portraying themselves more or less as 13-year-olds. And all the other kids in the school are like real kid actors.
7th grade is going to be so amazing.
It's going to be really, really good.
It's going to be like the best year of our lives. Shuji! Get off AOL!
I was lying on the grass of Sunday.
I feel like we should make a pact.
Let's like do everything together.
Yeah, no doubt, like all our first together, like our first kiss.
Hey, Anna, did you? I was just looking for my Discman.
You're 13, and you're still playing with dolls?
How dare you do this to me, bitch?
Alex broke up with Heather. It's happening. I guess he like loves me or whatever. I'm really, 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 really sorry. It's chill.
It's a neat take, but it's
like
kind of
Riverdale.
Yeah, exactly. Riverdale. It's kind of a neat take. It's pretty adult. But
that's definitely a good way to portray awkwardness, is like being so outside the normal, what you're seeing there.
Well, they do a really good job of portraying 13-year-olds and just the way they speak, the language they use, the mannerisms they use between these 2 best friends. And it's a lot of, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And that became very annoying to me immediately. I was just like, oh, please, someone else talk. But it's getting great reviews. And I watched the first 3 episodes. I understand why people really, really like it. It's pretty brave in the things they cover about real things that happen at that age. Real, horrible things even. The one character is labeled as the Ugis of the year of that school immediately, which means ugliest girl in school. And you feel for her. This young Asian
that is
character.
The opposite of HBIC.
Yes, Ugis. So anyways, comics, Maya Erskine and Anna Conkle play Maya and Anna themselves, and I don't know if I'm going to go forward with it, but I would recommend it, especially to, I think, younger females. 20-somethings will really enjoy it, maybe even some 30-somethings and more. It's really good. So that was my Hulu for the week. Well, you guys were watching Us.
Yeah.
You got anything you want to streaming wise?
I've gotten a little bit further in Love, Death, and Robots, and I've liked every single episode.
I almost started that the other day.
Nick did not like that.
No?
He was watching it with his girlfriend last week. He was like all fired up. He's like,
although I've
he
heard...
didn't like that they were like he's like, just something about the nudity and things like. He's like, oh, they're just trying to be edgy, and he did not like that.
There's definite like, what can we get away with? Let's and we don't have to censor ourselves, so let's go crazy. But I've also heard they're playing. Everyone's getting different play orders.
Yeah.
So he may not have watched the same ones I did.
That's what I told him too.
And
he said he watched 3 or 4, and he's like, I just felt like they were just doing stuff because they could do it, and it wasn't like they were breaking any ground or anything. Which I don't know, I haven't seen it, but that was his opinion.
I've been impressed with it. I've enjoyed. There hasn't been one I haven't liked. There's, of course, I like some more than others, but there has not yet been one I disliked.
Yeah, I still need to check it out.
And the only other thing I watched was the same movie Cliff did.
The Dirt.
The Dirt. Insert crew music.
It could have happened to anybody, but it didn't. It happened to us. The new band is going to be something nobody's ever seen before.
Oh my God, those are my pants.
But
so much better on me. We got a runaway, a kid drummer, an old man. Let's just play it. A cover band singer.
They say you're gonna be a rock star.
What do you think?
Motley Crue, based on the did the whole band write this book?
That's how I understood it.
Okay, so it's
Isn't
like
this
their
an old
memoir.
book, though? I feel like this has been a long time.
Yeah, it's been around for a
I
long
remember
time.
almost buying it years and years ago, like because I loved Crew back then.
Be thankful you didn't buy that book. I've
Well, it
seen
has
this
to be
movie.
better than what I'm hearing. It looks terrible. Like I did not watch the movie because it looked really bad.
I had managed the Scorpions, Bon Jovi, Skid Row, Kiss, but I had never been through what Motley Crue put me through.
I am sick and tired of not having any fun. Everything's upside down and flip-flop.
I watched the whole thing the entire time wondering why I kept watching it. Other than, I told you guys, this movie made Bohemian Rhapsody look like Citizen Kane.
Yeah.
It was so bad. The actors were so bad. It's got my brain isn't working.
You're killing it on names.
I know. It's got
I didn't recognize anybody. Was there
from
any-
Game of Thrones plays Mick Mars.
Who does he play on Game of Thrones? Let's play that game.
He plays Game of Thrones.
Oh, he plays Game of
No.
Thrones. Good old Game of Thrones.
Bolton. Ramsey's.
Oh, okay.
Ramsey Bolton plays Mick Mars in it.
Okay.
And yeah, it's I couldn't even tell you one part was worse than the other. It was just all equally horrible. Yeah.
I didn't hate it, but it was, as we've said before, the musical biopic ABCD. So there's a playbook and you go. But with this movie, they took the 4 least likable people, had them do the worst things and sabotage themselves. And then at the end, there's not really any redemption.
No, there's none. There's zero.
So yeah, normally you get the I'm a young, hungry entertainer. Right. You get discovered. Excess leads to the fall. Then you have a triumphant comeback. And this was just so that they've always been awful.
Yeah.
And when they got money, they became way more awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds right.
Usually these musical biopics give you something to sink your teeth into. You really like this person, this band, this character, whatever. And you feel, and you're so happy at the end of them when they triumph and make their comeback. There was nothing redeemable at all about these guys.
And that's why I don't know if you were a huge Motley Crue fan, if that would make you feel any different. But I'm not. I know their hits, but that's about it.
I was a pretty big fan of theirs, and I loved the hair bands when I was in high school and beyond. But I don't. But like I said, I even know not to watch this. So it just looks terrible.
My only exposure, the only day I was cool in elementary school, it was the last day of school. I don't know, 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, somewhere along those. And on the last day, they had a picnic, and we spent all day outside, and you could go do activities or watch a movie or do whatever. And they said, oh, you can wear a hat, or you can bring a toy, or you can do that, or you can bring a radio if you want to listen to music on the last day. I was like, I'm going to bring my radio.
Shout to the devil.
And I brought I had this little plastic red radio. It was tiny. It just looked like a toy, probably. I was like, I don't have anything to play on my radio.
Bastard!
Knock on my brother Justin's door, who at this point had the hair, was a rocker. And I was like, I need some music. So he hooks me up with like half a dozen cassettes of like what was cool at the time, which I did not have access to normally. So I'm like, sweet. I take my radio and my cassettes to school, and like there were these 6th graders playing basketball or something. And I don't know what gave me this bravery to go talk to these older kids. But I was like, hey, I got my radio if you want to listen to some songs. They're like, yeah, what do you got? And they looked at me with such disdain, like, what do you got? And the first one on the pile was like, oh, I got girls, girls, girls. And they looked at me with the amount of respect. They're like, dude. And they're like, cool. And they went, put it in, took my radio, took it to the basketball court, Listened to it the whole day. I did not have access to my radio the whole day. Brought it back to me 5 minutes before the end of the day.
Totally worth it. You got all
I'm like,
that
thanks,
cred.
man. I was not invited to play.
It's like a Mean Joe Green moment. They threw him his radio.
Just took my radio, but I was cool. So I didn't need a radio because I was cool for that day.
See?
Yeah.
Crew did you right.
That's right. Want to mention real quick, you guys watched the Stranger Things 3 trailer that came out?
I wasn't going to.
I did not. I didn't watch.
But I didn't figure.
spoil
I didn't figure they'd reveal too much. I thought it's still several months away, so I'll forget whatever they do show.
We're not kids anymore.
Yeah, the gang's all back.
I mean, what did you think? We're just gonna sit in my basement all day? Play games for the rest of our lives?
It is important to me that you feel safe. I want you to feel like this can still be your home.
I like they're aging them.
I do too.
Because you can't pretend they're the same age.
No. And they're just being kids, and Dustin's back from camp. I'm sure I'll play some of it in here, but it got me pumped up for 4th of July. Happy
4th of July!
How many children are you friends with?
The last thing is, I was going to hit real quick because I happened to watch it this morning. DC Universe Doom Patrol.
Morden. I haven't been Mr. Morden since... Yo, help me! The man is that! I'm nobody.
I've been admiring those freaks of yours for quite some time.
Are we really the best people to hunt a supervillain?
I can't recommend this show enough. Go out there, get DC Universe.
You're trying, though. You're doing your best.
I'm really trying. It's odd, strange. It's a dark comedy all the way.
How hard I hit, where I hit, what I hit. I can't feel pain.
You're as afraid as the rest of us.
You're kidding me!
This is what the world looks like when we try to live in it.
We don't have to get involved. Especially if we make things worse. I want to go home.
We can do that.
I don't even know what to hope for.
We're powerless. I have no clue how to fix this.
And it's...
This mission...
it's so much character building in these first 7 episodes. You really forget that they're a superhero team and like there's any mission or anything going on. It's just developing these characters as much as we can, giving us as much background as we can, understanding them.
Now comes their reckoning! What do you want from me? Yes! I am ready, Father!
Holy!
I get the point!
Don't you dare hurt them.
They are quite doomed.
Thank God that's solved. Mince Judith.
It's great, but I was going to run down real quick. The big mission of the season 1 is we have to find the chief. Now, he has been taken by Mr. Nobody, and our team of misfits and weirdos are just rudderless. Cyborg has stayed around Doom Manor because the chief is his friend. He's worked with his dad on developing his programming and cybernetics and whatever, and he's dedicated. If he can find the chief, maybe the Justice League will notice, I guess. I couldn't remember exactly which episodes. I think I talked briefly about the first couple. Episode 3 is called Puppet Patrol, where they find themselves looking for the chief. They end up in Paraguay, and they find the Nazi scientist who made Mr. Nobody. Except he's a puppet now. He's totally in puppet form. And it's crazy. They end up there with this man who's... They follow a man who's also a tourist. He wants to go meet the scientist and buy superpowers. That's what he's going to do. So they go with him to this Nazi scientist lair or whatever. He's got all these German younger people who are just dressed in lederhosen, and they are basically extensions of this Nazi scientist's mind, his brain. It's pretty crazy, I know. But we find we battle with him. He messes with our team a little bit, and there's some cool action there. Episode 4 is called Cult Patrol. This is the one that introduces Grant Morrison's Cult of the Unwritten Book. If anybody's read the old Doom Patrol with Morrison. And the Doom Patrol must protect the book, who is a young man. And as he gets older, this language appears on his body like tattoos. It's Doom Patrol. It's weird, guys. Just go with it. But when he turns 18, his book is complete, and the cult is trying to... They have to read him. Because when they read his book, the D-Creator unveils himself to undo the world. Okay? So they... this Templar, Knights of the Templar, Willoughby...
That's why I don't read books.
Yes. Willoughby Kipling shows up, who is just a John Constantine knockoff, to battle this cult. And it leads right into episode 5, Paw Patrol. Doom Patrol uses time travel to create a rival cult out of thin air and spawn a new god, the Recreator, to defeat the D-Creator.
Did you say Paw Patrol?
Paw Patrol.
Okay.
There's a theme here. Puppet Patrol, Cult Patrol, Paw Patrol. Episode 6, Doom Patrol, which we learn all about the original Doom Patrol from the 1950s. We meet Mento, that Rita briefly had an affair with. Of course, they were married in the comic books. And Celsius in their classic 1950s uniforms. And we learn about how they battled Mr. Nobody, and they think they kicked his butt back then. Only to find out it's all just a mirage in their own heads, and they got their butts kicked by Mr. Nobody, who in this series, Mr. Nobody literally drains the sanity of anyone he comes in contact with. So all through these episodes, Mr. Nobody,
I know several people like that.
Yes, exactly. Is slowly trying to drive them all crazy. Episode 7 today, Therapy Patrol. It's a great episode. All about dealing with the demons of each character, their personality problems. Cyborg calls a team meeting in the morning. We get the story one by one of each character of that morning, what happens to him. It's all crazy stuff that always happens. Cliff Steele, Robot Man, has a breakdown where he's seeing his daughter and her adoptive dad. He's learned that his daughter has survived the crash, grown up, but was raised by his former crew chief because he was a NASCAR driver. And his former crew chief, who was having an affair with his wife at the time, who he beats up back in the 80s.
Oh, Ricky Bobby.
Yes.
Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
Exactly. So this man has raised his daughter. He doesn't differentiate his fantasies with reality at this point. He calls for a therapy session since the chief isn't there, because the chief always talks to them and helps them through their problems. So they're going to try and do it themselves. Of course, it's all, these people they don't like each other. They can't get along. They aggravate the bejesus out of each other, trying to hurt each other. And at the end, again, Cliff goes back into another breakdown, falls on the floor, and is unconscious. And we see his mouth open of the robot, and a rat climbs out of his body. Only to realize, spoilers, I know everybody, but trust me, even if you know what happens, it's worth going back and watch, that the rat is none other than Admiral Whiskers, and is being manipulated also by Mr. Nobody.
Oh, man.
Which goes all the way back to like episode 1 or 2. We see him driving the bus and running over the rat's mother.
Oh.
It's insane. I know it's insane, but it's the best thing on TV right now. I'm telling you guys. Or streaming. I love it. I can't get enough of it. Every Friday, I wake up excited that I'm going to get a new episode of Doom Patrol.
How many's left?
You're going to get to watch it
3.
before Michael and ruin his queue.
Oh, I text Michael every Friday, and I'm like, Doom Patrol! I already watched it, and he's like, shut up.
What's left tonight? Television?
TV?
Oh, Dolores.
What the hell is a sticky maple?
Run, Barry, run! That's what I do. I dream, and I know things.
Go get him, Supergirl.
Well, what this guy look like, anyway?
Oh, he's a little guy, kind of funny looking.
Uh-huh. In what way?
Oh, just in a general kind of way.
Exterminate!
Little pig, let me in.
These violent delights have violent ends.
That's what she said.
Groovy.
We watched nothing.
Good night. Now, it's getting closer to springtime, so I had several series wrap up here recently, so I can knock a few off our list here. How far did you go with The Gifted, Cliff?
I have not watched any of this season.
Didn't go into season 2.
I really expected to, and somehow just I haven't gotten around to it.
I thought season 1 ended pretty strong, so I was into season 2 and quickly sort of lost interest. I stuck with it, but I was kind of fast forwarding through a lot of it, so I would watch the full hour in about 12 minutes, just hit the highlights. But the finale, they killed off one of the main characters.
Again.
So
that's what happened last season.
Somebody that's been there since the beginning, one of the main, title credit characters is
Who was
gone. I'm not going to tell you because no one watches it.
I did. I just know it was. It died. I don't care about it.
I will tell you the very end, they save the day. They defeat the mutants
Spoiler,
who are
you'll
trying
spoil
to.
that.
The mutants are trying to start some stuff. You know how mutants are, the evil ones. Then at the they save the day. At the very end, a Blink had been missing for a while. They thought maybe she was dead, but she was gone. And at the very end, Blink pops back in. And they're teasing she was stuck somewhere that was very apocalyptic.
What?
So, yeah, that's where Blink began in the comics in the Age of Apocalypse. So they're hinting there's some kind of, alternate reality where everything's going horribly wrong. I don't know how you would do that on Fox primetime, but
you just hint at it and then move on. Just like that.
Maybe they're going to insert clips from the old Fox 90s X-Men show.
They did Apocalypse pretty well, yeah.
I'm your baby tonight.
You lost me.
That's the rip-off. That's the song they ripped off for the Fox thing. Go on.
Deadly Class ended. This first season was just 10 episodes on Sci-Fi Channel, also based on a comic book. I very much enjoyed this. It ended on a cliffhanger, so I hope they know if we're getting more, because I'm definitely coming back for season 2. This is one that was set in the 80s, had terrific music cues all throughout it, and it wasn't all the that's what I call 80s. It wasn't the hits you're expecting.
Yeah.
there's a lot of different characters in the school, and there would be punk music and goth music, the Smiths and all these, The Cure and all these 80s new wave and goth songs. And then in the end, they set a fight to a Willie Nelson song that was just done so well. But it's very much, I don't like using the word grindhouse, but it's very, the violence is kind of over the top. It takes kind of familiar things, the Yakuza ninja fights, and the punks with baseball bats with nails in them, and things you've kind of seen before in these sort of movies, and just kind of mashes them all together into one thing. And I very much enjoyed it. The villain was a little bit over the top, a little bit too cartoonish on a very cartoonish show, but in a era of way too many comic book shows, don't let Deadly Class get lost in the shuffle. And we also finished up Miracle Workers on TBS. Did you ever try that one, Seth?
No,
Simon
I remember
Rich.
you talking about it, and I couldn't get the first episode, so I just gave up.
Yeah, this was Steve Buscemi and Daniel Radcliffe. Steve Buscemi plays God in kind of a dysfunctional Earth that is past its prime and terrible, red tape, and everything's complicated and complex getting anything done. And when it first started, it's kind of that, okay, God is Michael Scott in a failing company. Like, he's the guy you're trying to avoid. It's like, I hope God doesn't have a meeting, because then we'd have to do... Like, it's that sort of thing. It's like, that's clever enough. But as the show goes on, you kind of get a feeling of why he's like this. And you kind of, much like The Office did, you kind of start rooting for Michael.
Yeah.
You forgive his crazy delusions, and you kind of like him a little bit more. And... yeah, I won't ruin what makes that happen, but you kind of visit. God has to go home to his family. God has parents and siblings, and you kind of learn what God's family life was like that would make him create something like Earth that is ridiculous.
Sure I know what his family life was like.
It has been documented in a few books, I think. But my favorite exchange of the whole thing, his brothers and sisters are making fun of him because he created Earth, and it's so... And I love looking at that stuff that... It's like, everything we do is ridiculous. Like bugs. Why are there bugs? They're just everywhere. They're crawling on things. They fly in circles. They don't do any... I love looking through lenses of like, how, this is ridiculous stuff we don't even think about. But they're trying to get him to explain what he's done and what this craziness he's created is like... Tell him what a cow is. Tell him about a cow. It's like a big dog you can drink from. Well, what's a dog? It's a small cow you can be friends with. Okay, but you got to tell them about giraffes. They will not believe giraffes. It's a tall dog with a leg for a neck. Come on. So, there's exchanges like that killed me. And then they have to influence Earth, and they have to keep doing things. So they're trying to get this couple together that will spark something else.
Right.
But so they're like, okay, well, if this bus is late, she'll miss the bus and have to get the next bus, and she'll be on.
Here we go, time travel.
So that sort of thing. But heaven is just pulling levers and messing with everything, and it always creates horrible repercussions on Earth. So planes crash and buildings burn down, and every episode had this beleaguered newscaster that was just like, oh, in my entire career, I've never seen the tragedies of human proportions. And everything's just this beleaguered guy who's just witnessing all these horrors that are just kind of tossed off as whew, oh, we saved the day now. But it's no, somebody paid for this. So it's just a lot of little things, little clever things like that. I thought it was a very solid series, very irreverent humor, but it tickled my funny bone. If you that sort of thing would,
did they act like it's going to come back?
They said it was a 7-episode miniseries.
No.
I mean, I could see there'd be room for more, but this wrapped everything up. There's no hanging plot threads or anything.
Okay. I kind of split up my HBO stuff so I'd have something to talk about streaming. But I watched the Inventor: Out for Blood in Silicon Valley. It's been all in the news. Have you not seen anything about that, Jordan? Cliff, did you know what I'm talking about?
Nope.
The story of Theranos, a multi-billion-dollar tech company. Its founder was Elizabeth Holmes, the youngest self-made female billionaire. It's not Kylie Jenner. It's Elizabeth Holmes, self-made billionaire. Massive fraud that collapsed the company. She's the chick that was in Silicon Valley that had this idea to, you know, how there's always been the thing. In the future, we'll be able to take just a tiny drop of blood and do all these tests on it. And she said, well, let's just do that now. And she created this company and got millionaires to give her all kinds of money to fund this. And she set up shop and hired all these scientists and was going to create this technology. And she basically just really thought she was big stuff. She patterned herself after Steve Jobs and put her wardrobe was just a bunch of black outfits, and it's very strange, but I understand eccentric people can be like that. But dropped out of college. There's this Alex Gibney, I think, is the director. It's a very I don't really like his style of documentary. It's very surface level. You know, I've seen way better documentaries, but I would like to recommend the book is called Bad Blood, which seems to be the definitive take on this. And there's also a really big podcast called The Dropout, because she dropped out of college for this, that basically talks about the book. And they only can get so deep in this 2-hour documentary, but it did make me want to look at those other forms of the story. But basically, she just did a lot of lying and things to pursue this. They're going to make a movie about it. Adam McKay, who did Vice, and I think it's The Big Short.
So if she was just good at her job and successful and saved a bunch of lives, we would never have heard of her. But since she's a crook, I'll get it.
Right, yeah. I mean, she's really catching a lot of heck. And the thing is, I work in a laboratory, a medical laboratory, so I feel like I have a take on this. But it's just that I do feel like someday they will get there. It's just the way she went about it was so like thinking she could do something that everyone else in the business wasn't already trying to do. Mm-hmm. And yeah, she can't. Yeah. And she's just full of it. And if anybody questioned her, she fired them. And so on. So kind of exposes her, and the whole thing went under, and they like I said, they're making a movie. It's just ready made for Adam McKay to do his flavor of expose, showing how it goes down. And they cast, I believe, Jennifer Lawrence to play her, which is perfect casting as far as I'm concerned. So I will definitely go see that. So check it out if you have HBO. It's worth seeing how the story goes down. There is some behind the scenes footage that they were able to get and things. It's interesting.
You guys still watching Superstore?
Yes.
I was throwing off. I watched an episode a couple nights ago, and it was the latest episode, I do believe, but it was Valentine's Day. So, yeah. So it threw me off. I was like, why are we watching a Valentine's Day?
Yeah, they've had like snowstorms.
Yeah.
Like, it seems like something got delayed.
Something's off there.
Right.
Yeah. So
because usually they put them out right on the.
Yeah. On that. Whatever. Right. Yeah. Yeah. A couple weeks ago, they got snowed in and had to spend the night at the store. And Sandra and Jerry have rekindled.
I want her to shove it in that girl's face so bad.
I think I figured it out watching the show more. When it first came out, I didn't get into it, and I didn't watch much of the first season. And then if you guys have pressured me, and I feel I had to watch it to keep up with the cool kids, I like it a lot more. And I think I realized when they realized Jonah is not the main character of the show.
Yes.
America Ferrera is the main character of the show. And it's not like, oh, poor smart Jonah has to deal with all these nuts. It's like, no, he needs to...
He's one of the nuts.
Him being sidelined and focusing more on
He is
her.
anybody that works... He's anyone that works in a place like that and thinks they're the normal one.
Yes.
That's him.
That's right.
So I can much more hook into that wavelength than I could... Yeah. Oh, this guy's way too good for us to be here.
I honestly feel like it's went a little downhill. Because I really liked...
Well, I kind of did too,
stuff better.
But I really liked the Valentine's Day episode.
Yeah, I saw it.
I thought it was really good with the fighting between Jonah and Amy over whether or not Garrett should tell Dina what he did.
Yeah,
and it's the whole subplot with the tattoo.
Yeah.
Where Cheyenne's giving tattoos out now. I was just like, she's right in the middle of the store, and Marcus has his shirt off, and for hours she's doing and redoing
that
this
guy's
tattoo.
funny. That character is funny. The stuff he says is like so
and then
cringy.
Yeah, through the whole day, and then Glenn's making these videos for his baby in the future because he works 19 hours a day.
So is he quitting now or something?
I don't know. That was the
it seemed to be the take. So they're going to need a new manager.
He said, "I don't want to be a manager anymore."
So that,
which he
that's pretty drastic because he's a big part of that show.
He may be my favorite character.
Yeah, I agree. Like if he was gone, that would be a strange way to go on the show. I don't know. I like it. I don't like it as much as I used to. I'll stick with it and see where they go with it.
So the only other thing I really watched this week, again, This Is Us, just keeping up with that. They deconstructed Beth and Randall's relationship.
I watched this. I'll tell you up front.
Uh-huh.
I am totally caught up on the show.
Okay.
So go on. That's what I need to know.
Okay.
I was going to admit to it.
Good. So they just unravel, Beth and Randall have kind of been the perfect couple of all the cast. They tend to, they're successful, strong-minded, almost peanut butter and jelly type relationship, right? What one complements the other at all times. But we've been starting to see little cracks with him running for office, and she got fired.
We've seen the future too.
Yes, and we've seen.
We know they're not together in the future.
Hint of the future. But I thought it was kind of neat how I thought this was one of the best episodes I've seen.
I agree. It was good, and I like the big callback to him remembering watching his parents.
Yeah,
and that groundwork was laid much earlier.
Oh yeah.
So that's the first time I've really seen them do that, where they laid just a fight down so early.
Just
that substantially paid off later.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're doing, they're spinning a lot of plates on this show.
Oh, yeah.
Which is the draw. You get to see so many different eras of this family. It's a clever idea.
Multiple timelines.
So I'm always wondering where they're going to go with that. And that was probably the first time I was like, okay, they really, something really paid off that was still
they brought
subtle.
It home, yeah.
So that was good, and I like that storyline. I like those two because he's such the do-gooder character, and to expose his flaws,
right,
in that way, that he doesn't see he has.
Yes,
and yet still you can see from his perspective, her laying a lot on him.
Sure.
That is her own problems. So I enjoyed that.
Yeah, that whole thing, where we've been having the same fight since the day we met thing.
I really like because it showed a real thing with couples who can totally love each other, like they're a perfect couple. But, but you can see why they would not end up together, even being made for each other. So
it was a neat thing. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
I like shows like I've watched many shows. Parenthood. Did you ever watch Parenthood?
A little bit. Yeah.
That was the previous show to this that people watched, and you saw all the different family dynamics and things. And there's been a billion of them over the years, but that was probably the latest one I thought was reminding me of this. And so I was kind of, I didn't really want to get into this because I can only take so much of the dad, Randall. I don't like the way he talks. Somebody tried to tell me this girl. I watch it because I work with all women basically on my ship. They talk about it all the time, and I make fun of him. And they'll be like, "Oh, he was on, dude. He was in Creed 2." I'm like, "He's in Rocky 5."
Yeah, he was.
I was like, they didn't just put him in Creed 2 because he was on This Is Us.
Right?
Come on, people. Anyway.
Yeah, so that's what I watched.
We're not forcing you to watch this one, Jordan. You don't have to watch it.
I'm good. We had a couple new shows launch this week. We haven't got too much of a taste of it, but Happy Season 2 started on the Sci-Fi Channel.
Oh my gosh, they have been running ads on Twitter relentlessly.
Constantly. So this was based on the Grant Morrison comic book that only lasted like 4 issues, so they are way past any origin story. But Grant Morrison co-wrote this first episode, actually, and it is set around Easter time, which the first one was set at Christmas. There was an evil Santa he had to try and find. This one's set at Easter, and there's a weird Easter bunny in a leather latex mask with zippers and stuff.
That's one of his costumes you sold. Wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was.
This is Christopher Maloney as sort of a washed-up cop who sees an imaginary blue horse, voiced by Patton Oswalt. And the first scene is a whole gaggle of nuns strapped with C4.
Is that what it is? I want to know. Because it's like a murder of crows.
Gaggle.
A gaggle of nuns? Is that the correct
so.
term? Write it down, folks.
I have not checked my
Pride
Catholic,
of lions. A gaggle of nuns.
I have to check my Catholipedia.
Group of nuns is called.
But yeah, so the opening scene are nuns gonna get blown up with
geese.
Geese.
Wrong. It's not nuns. Go on.
So that's, if you can handle that, and then it ramps up from there. So that's the kind of show you're looking for. And then on FX, What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah, I saw this was.
I can't believe I just Googled gaggle of nuns, and this is what came up.
What are the chances of running? Good job, Google.
I don't think I can read that out loud, but there was a quote. Go. Sorry, I keep interrupting you.
What We Do in the Shadows, the vampire mockumentary, originally directed by, how quick are you on the drop?
Not
Taika Waititi.
Quick enough, because I did not have it pulled up.
So that, and the movie, I loved the movie. That FX reran it. I rewatched it this week. I remembered how funny it was. Jermaine Clement from Flight of the Conchords was the star of the movie. He is now executive producer for this. So he wrote the first episode. Taika Waititi directed it.
It's nightfall.
He awakens.
Very cool, Master. Very scary.
Thank you. Nadja, Laszlo!
Yeah.
Yes?
Can you come downstairs for a second, please?
The problems with living with other vampires are the vampires I have chosen to stay with.
I wanted to talk about general hygiene in the cell. Last night, there were all these people down there, half drunk.
Well, where did they find the alcohol?
No, they were half drunk. They'd been half drunk.
If you've got something to say, then damn well say it.
It's not hygienic!
I loved it. I thought it was hilarious. I wasn't sure if they'd be able, and even the commercials, I didn't like. They're all new characters. I'm like, this is a little iffy. Nothing in the commercials made me laugh, but I laughed multiple times throughout the episode.
I haven't recorded it. I haven't watched it yet, but I'm worried about them like doing the same jokes over from the movie. Like, are they going to do that?
Not really. There's a new character. Yeah, they're all new characters.
Yeah.
Doug Jones, the guy who he was in Hellboy and a lot of Guillermo del Toro movies.
Yeah, very costumed guy.
He plays a character, the Baron.
Goes to where Cliff used to work.
Right.
His costume.
Mm-hmm. So he's a little bit similar to Pita from the movie as kind of the old ancient vampire. There's a female housemate now. That's a little more vampire diversity.
Yes.
It's set in Staten Island. It's not set in New Zealand.
I'm just thinking about the movie like when they put the newspaper down.
But it has a lot. It has a lot of those sort of jokes, and that there's Flight of the Conchords. I love that show, the sitcom. I love Thor Ragnarok, The Boy, and anything Taika Waititi's done. I have really enjoyed, and this has that very similar sense of humor. There's a great gag involving blood. Much like the movie did a few of those. So I from just one episode, I don't know. I think Clement wrote a lot of the first season. I'm not sure how much Waititi directed, but it has their fingerprints all over it. So high recommendation.
Yeah.
And as we're recording, we haven't seen the last episode of Walking Dead. I'm sure you have. It premieres this weekend. It's the end of the 9th season.
Catch me up.
So we don't know how it ended. Do we want to lead up to it or wait till the finale?
Yes, this is where I learn about it. I don't watch it anymore.
All right, we're several episodes behind. Last one we talked about was the episode 9. So Episode 10, we got more of a flashback. We learn more about Alpha, the leader of the Whispers, and her daughter Lydia. We learn more about their relationship. And she bonds with Henry, who, when this season started, or half season started, I turned it on. Good question. I turned the show on about 5 minutes before it premiered, and they were playing the finale of the first half of the season. Okay. And there was a kid in a jail cell having this long conversation, and I had no clue who he was, what the plot was, why he was in jail. I was like, is this even the same show? I had completely forgotten this character. He was the one who trained with the bow staff with... I'm forgetting his name already. He left. He left the show.
No.
Yeah. The guy from the
Donatello.
beginning.
What's his name?
Yeah.
He went to Fear the Walking Dead.
Right, I know.
Yeah.
You can tell we're on top of this show.
Start with an M, right?
Morgan.
Yeah.
Yes,
Morgan.
he trained with Morgan, and he is Carol and Ezekiel's adopted son, basically, at the kingdom. And they are trying to turn him into Carl.
That's what I was going to say.
Yes.
Because Carl's dead, and Carl got with Lydia in the comics.
Henry has had way too much screen time this season, and he's just a vacant black hole of characterization. I'm not blaming the actor, but just his character. We don't care. We followed some of these characters for 9 years, and they're all of a sudden like, oh, what about Henry? Don't you want to?
You can't just point a camera at a new person and we're going to give a crap.
So the next episode, and this season has been better. And the next episode, episode 11, they're preparing for the fair. That's this whole season is leading to the fair that's going to bring all the communities together. We jump forward in time. There have been falling outs between the communities. So this is the trade fair, and everybody's bringing, whatever you're good at doing, the blacksmithing or the gardening. You're bringing them all to this fair.
Comic books, whatever you made.
Yeah, right. Things. Sweepers, costumes.
Yeah.
So Ezekiel wants to show a movie, but the last bulb they had got broken. So they do a whole mission to go to a theater in a nearby town and get one of the specialty, projector bulbs. And they're like, is this worth risking our lives for?
Yes.
There are monsters in there. What if someone dies just for a movie? And it's this talk about, we have to, if we're trying to bring society back and, we have to risk for all this. Yes. So, it was a cool episode dealing with a thing. It's not that important, but it's like, okay, how'd they figure out how to get in there? There's all these things down the floor. They've got to go up and over. It's a show that's been on this long. You got to figure out new things to create drama around. So
did they do it and show a movie?
We gotta wait till we get to the fair.
Okay, I just want to make sure I don't miss that part.
They got the bulb.
Got it.
After some trouble.
I bet.
All right, so Lydia has been hanging out with them, and the Whisperers show up at the front door like, hey, we got some of your people prisoner, and we'll trade them. So they're like, we don't know this girl. Take her. We want our people back. And Henry's like, no, but it's Lydia. I like her. She's pretty cool. So Henry leaves. He sneaks out and leaves. He's going to go chase the horde of Whisperers down and save Lydia somehow. Next episode was a little more about Michonne and more explanation of, or hints really, we don't get an explanation for a couple more episodes, of why the kingdom and the hilltop and all these people, they've been kind of separated. And it's a democracy, but Michonne is head of security, so she can veto anything they want to do. So the council says, I think we should do this, and Michonne can say, no, we're not doing that. And it's, we have to take chances, Michonne. We have to work, whatever. But at this point, the new characters who have shown up, two of them are deaf, and Daryl has been hanging out with the deaf woman. And they are a good couple, hanging out doing missions and stuff. And then half the show are these Whisperers who barely talk. So this show is not great with dialogue. So having Daryl, who never talks, with the deaf woman who just signs, and these Whisperers, for it was a half an episode where there's barely anyone
the Snake
talking.
Eyes issue.
Yes, it was the silent interlude. It was amazing. So Negan is still in prison. He's been trying to negotiate a bigger role. Like he went, hey, Michonne, let me help you. We can. I used to run stuff, so let me help you do this. Next episode, we meet the Highwaymen. These dudes are threatening people out on the streets. You pass. You cross our bridge. You got to feed the troll. Yeah. And one of them looks a lot like Waylon Jennings, which I loved. He has a big belt buckle and a cowboy hat. I was like, yeah, if you're gonna be the Highwayman, you need to have Waylon Jennings involved. But they're like, we got to go kill these guys. We got to go attack them. And Carol's like, why don't we just talk to them and see if they need something? And so Carol negotiates.
Carol, you idiot.
So Carol gets them to be basically security. You guys keep the roads clear of zombies. We'll give you food and shelter and all this stuff. So again, we're trying to change the way the apocalypse works. And this fight had Beta, who is the second in command.
Now, is he huge?
To Alpha. He is very big. And he and Daryl have a knife fight in a construction site.
Uh-oh.
And it's an excellent scene. It's like people being thrown through drywall and like slamming each other with ladders and stuff.
Cool.
It was excellent.
Did they talk about compaction?
Yeah. They say, remember
They're
this?
like, oh, this ground's so fragile.
So is he like basketball player, tall and stuff?
No, he's just real solid.
Okay.
I mean, he's very tall, much taller than Daryl, obviously.
Right.
Daryl throws him down an elevator shaft, but he doesn't die. Okay, so the next episode, we get flashbacks. We learn what happened to Michonne, all that happened. She had an old friend. They met Jocelyn, someone she knew before the apocalypse, which this woman showed up. I'm like, am I supposed to know who this person is? And I heard she is referenced in the novels. They've done some spin-off novels. I've heard they've referenced this character. I don't know for sure. Don't quote me. But Jocelyn betrays her friend and kind of hurts Michonne in a very serious way. So that's why Michonne has shut everything down. We can't trust any more outsiders. One of her closest friends betrayed her. So that caused that problem. And we learned why she and Daryl had X's scarred into their back, and it was not a very good payoff. So the last episode I have seen, the penultimate episode before the finale, was the fair.
Okay.
And they have granted Lydia asylum. She's allowed to live there. We'll fight for her. And if they attack one community, they attack us all. We're going to take these whisperers out. They can't be that big of a problem. So we learned they are quite a big problem. She has a few of them. Alpha has a few people captured. She takes Daryl up to a rock quarry and looks down, and they're just a sea of walkers.
Yeah.
Much that happened in the comic with Rick. She's like, my people are seated in there, and we can steer these people in any direction. So you do not mess with me. We're putting up a barrier, and do not cross it. If your people come over here, we're sending, we'll live in peace. You live in your, so Lydia has betrayed her people. She can live with you, but do not cross this barrier again. And I, having read the comics, was kind of waiting for this scene.
Right, yeah.
The whole season, I knew what the barrier was, but nobody else did till they get there. And there are heads on pikes.
Yep.
Across a field. I thought, oh no, is it the same people from the comics? And it is not.
What?
But I didn't quite know that until the after show, because I couldn't tell who the heads were. And I don't know if that's my own fault, not following the show so closely and not knowing all the characters' names and things.
So we can say who it was then in the comics, if it wasn't.
Probably. But yeah, the heads on the pikes were like zombified and like gnashing their teeth and like rolling around. Right. So like they were all kind of decayed and they all had long hair in their faces. And I'm like, I thought it was Rosita. I'm like, oh no, Rosita. And then later in the episode, you see her in a crowd, because in the comics, that's how Rosita dies.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, that was not Rosita. Who was it then? I had no idea who it was. And the biggest name, well, not the biggest name, they killed Tara.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Enid.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Brett Butler, who had been on there for a few episodes.
Right.
Remember the actress Brett Butler?
Yeah,
right.
Oh, yeah. From TV.
Grace Under Fire.
Yep. Yeah, so they killed her. And a whole bunch of random people who had like one line in the episode, who they had random scenes of like, oh, I need to go over there. Okay, see you later, guys. And it's like, oh, you were the one who died. Okay. And Henry.
Oh,
Henry's
my gosh,
head's on a
Henry.
pike. So I think they read the writing on the wall that the Henry is no Carl. Mm-hmm. So Henry's gone. And in the books, it was somebody Carol's very close to.
Yeah. Say it.
King Ezekiel.
Yeah, because there was a big hubbub. People thought at first it was Michonne.
Yes.
Because of the dreads.
Before you flip the page, you just see the back of a head, and it's just dreadlocks. And Rick's like, oh no. Flip the page. Oh, it wasn't Michonne.
And we were just like, okay.
Yeah, who cares? But, so in this, they kill basically Carol's son, Henry, her adopted son. And she looks like she's about to lose it, and Daryl's like, don't look, and he grabs her and like takes her away.
Right.
Like, what's in the box?
Yeah.
Don't look in that box.
Yeah, right.
So
John Doe has the upper hand.
Stay away from here now. Yeah, so my assumption is Carol's gonna lose it and become,
right,
tough as nails Carol once again.
I gotta tell you that this is the only way to watch Walking Dead. just listen to Jordan tell the story. I love it.
All right, so as you're listening to this, you've seen the finale. You know how this pays off. I expected this to be the finale.
Yeah,
I expected this to be the big moment of then. Oh no, how are we gonna do this? So I don't know. I don't know how it's gonna end. So
I can't wait to hear.
We'll tell you probably next time.
Cool. I like it. Well, let's just end there. We did it.
Yeah, we covered a lot of stuff. Real quick, of course, share it with your friends. Let them know.
I didn't know where he was going with that.
We are on.
I didn't either. I was like, what's going on?
We'll just see where it rolls. We are on iTunes, Google Play, Podbean, pretty much everywhere podcasts can be found. iHeartRadio. We have an email address, Ka-Pow, the Pop Culture Podcast at gmail.com. Email us, give us your comments, rate us 5 stars on iTunes, all that stuff.
We got some treats coming up for you. We got some special things. When Riverdale goes in hiatus, we have to fill that time.
I don't know how we're going to fill all those hours.
Oh, we've got stuff.
All right, so we'll be back real soon. Talk to you later. My name is Jordan Lowe.
My name is Cliff Barnes.
I'm South by Forever.
Talking about hey now, hey now, hey now, hey now. Aiko Aikoane.
Taika Waititi.
Taikawani Nane. Taikawani Nane.
Ka-Pow, the Pop Culture Podcast, is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Sounds, music, and clips played during the podcast are property of copyright holders. All original content is property of www.udownwithkpp.com.
Your cords are tangled.
Yeah, I yanked my head back.
Got your dongle dangled.
Your dongle.
Are you guys going to do like full on Game of Thrones?
Ooh.
Are you going to do like full...
We never really did
full on reviews of those? Or?
We never have.
Or we'd mention it, or maybe, big
well, they're like, they're
or,
also epic, and they're going to be
hour
and a half or whatever.
I doubt it. Because...
I'm just asking, can I have a week off?